Hello. Today we're going to look at a map that showcases a new tool that you can use to design complex structures in Minecraft. One of the limitations of Minecraft is that it's great at drawing kind of square and boxy things, but for designing more complicated structures like spheres and ellipses and curves and domes, it's very difficult to do that in Minecraft. We've developed a new tool for Android tablets and smartphones that makes it a lot easier to design these kind of structures and build them. The structures, the map that you're looking at now was developed on a private server. Local kids play on it. We think of this as our Martian base, and the structures that you see here were all developed using guidance from this new tool. It's called DomeCraft, and it's available on the Google Play Store. All of this was done in survival mode, so we had to, that's part of why we chose a sand biome, partly for the Martian connection and partly because it's you need that if you're gonna do a lot of glass. But we had to collect all the sand and turn it into glass. We used mostly charcoal for our smelting process, so we had to grow a lot of trees, and we'll see an arboretum here in a bit that we did that. Now the first thing you see here inside is this temple. Now this is generated by the Minecraft terrain generator. You've all seen one of these, and we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But the dome over it, we found this Martian temple ruin on our expedition, and so we built a dome over it to protect it and enable us to study inside here. And the DomeCraft app will tell you layer by layer where to put the glass to build a structure like this. You tell it what size you want it to be, what diameter. Or if you want a non-spherical structure, if you want an elliptical structure, you can tell it the diameter of each of the major axes, and it'll lay out for you layer by layer, block by block, where to put everything to have these nice clean domes. We'll walk through them on the inside, and then we'll go out and look at them more closely on the outside. This base is comprised of a bunch of these structures. We started out with this small dome here in the middle, and this became the nexus of our base. Now, another thing you can do with the tool, if you go through all the layers of this dome, you make a dome. But if you look at just the first layer, and if you just kept replicating that, you'd be a cylinder. And so what we did on our base is underneath this first layer of this dome, we created a cylinder going down a little bit further, and that became our storeroom. Now, when you have a small cylinder or small sphere things and it's voxelated, it tends to look kind of squarish, but it worked out well for our storeroom, just exactly the right size to make efficient use of the space. Now further down there is our mine, and that's a textbook case of how not to do a mine, so I'm not going to waste your time down there. Over here we have another hemispherical dome. This is going to be the same dimensions in all three axes, except that it's half of a sphere instead of a full sphere. And this is our crew quarters. And so in here we have apartments, and these are some of the builders that helped us with this facility. And we're not going to invade their privacy by going into their respective units. And then out the back, there are airlocks back here to get into the unsecured areas. And then the connection to another dome back there. Now this is a large dome. It has 3 floors in it. The second floor is also apartments. More of our Minecrafters live up here. And then the top floor is a lounge area where our colonists can relax after a hard day's work. And then at night there's a great view of the stars, and you can even see Earth's moon orbiting Mars up there. We haven't quite figured out what that's all about. The next structure we have, now this is a circular structure, but it has the height of it, it's not a true spherical structure because the height is shorter. We didn't need all that height for just what we're growing in here, so we made it shorter. We use a lot of jack-o'-lanterns for illumination, so we grow a lot of pumpkins. And then, like I said, we're in survival mode, so we need food. We've got potatoes, carrots, and a watermelon. And then we use the wheat and the seed to feed horses, cows, sheep, and chickens. We'll get to the animal husbandry in a bit. And then up here we have our command center. Now this is a saucer-shaped structure, and it's circular, but it's flattened out. So it's a pretty wide structure, but it only has 2 floors in it, and use sandstone for the very bottom layer to provide a floor there, and then glass here as we're moving up in higher layers. And this gives you a place where you can come and see what's going on throughout the base. And in the top floor, we have another layer of sandstone right through the middle to make a second floor. And we just have lots of other facilities up here. I haven't really built this out yet. But here you have another place where you have a great view of the stars at night. Great place to watch the night pass. And then our next stop is going to be one of the coolest structures in here, MarsBaseOne Arboretum. This is where we grow our trees for construction and mostly for charcoal. Now we made this a very tall structure so that we could grow full-size jungle trees, and that particular jungle tree is just about as tall as they get. And then we also have some tall cedars in here, and a variety of other kinds of trees. We have saplings I think for all the trees at this point. And so if you want some particular wood for a construction project, you just plant a couple of trees, and then when they grow, come harvest them. But this structure, you give DomeCraft the diameters of the floor, the width and depth, and then the diameter of the height, and it will tell you layer by layer where to put every block to make this nice structure. Our next dome is another elliptical structure, but it's laid out low and flat, long and narrow, and this is where we keep our animals. We have a chicken pen, although all the chickens have left the chicken pen and moved in with the horses, and I'm not sure what that's all about. We have a sheep pen, and a lot of the sheep have left too, and not sure what that's all about. And the cows are pretty much staying put where they belong. And then we have our outer ring, and this, when we get outside, I'll talk a little about how we made this, but it connects, it loops around the outside of the structure. It really serves 2 purposes. It connects some of the facilities together, and we'll be adding more domes along this outer ring for various purposes. But it also serves as a perimeter wall to keep the native life, the zombies and creepers and skeletons out. The spiders can climb over it, although we could add a spider shelf out there to prevent that, but we haven't done that. And then there's a connection back to the arboretum, and the loop goes on around, and except for a place where we haven't continued it across the river there, it goes all the way around. So let's go outside and look at some of this stuff from the outside. Let's start with a closer up look at the arboretum from the outside, and this is really one of my favorite structures, both from the how cool it is and how difficult this would be to do without having a tool like DomeCraft to show you where to put everything. But also just it looks great with the tall trees in there. And here's my second favorite structure. This is the saucer shape that we talked about from the inside, with the floor running right through the center layer of it, and the floor at the bottom. And then back here is here's the garden, low and flat, like we were talking about. And then the largest hemisphere dome that we have is for the Martian temple. Orbit around that. And then this, again, this is the hemisphere with the crew quarters in it. And then this is a better perspective on the animal husbandry, the elliptical shape here. And there's actually a second way that DomeCraft would let you make a facility like this. This is an elliptical shape where you have a long axis down the middle and then a narrow axis this way. You specify the 3 dimensions, the third one being the height. But you could also design this by specifying 2 spheres and putting half of one of those spheres at this end. So you put the center about here, and you wind up with a spherical shape like that. And then you put the other half of the sphere down at the other end. Just make sure you get them lined up, and then connect those 2 ends together with straight runs of glass, and you'd have more of a well, pill shape. Although some pills are shaped this way. You can see how that shape would be a little bit different, and just whatever suits what you're trying to do, whether it's inside or what you want it to look like on the outside. That's 2 different ways you could design a structure like this that DomeCraft would help you do it. And then finally, let's talk about this outer ring. You can see if we get up high above it that it also has an elliptical shape. And what I did here was I figured out how long I wanted it to be and how wide I wanted it to be. And then I told DomeCraft that I wanted to build a dome that size, and particularly I wanted to build it the size of the inner wall of this outer ring. So I picked this inner wall and gave it those dimensions. And then, but instead of building the dome, I just laid out the first layer of the dome, and then I stacked another layer of glass on top of that first layer. And I could have come up a 3rd layer. I probably should have, and 4th layer, depending on how tall you want your tunnel to be. And then I asked for a second dome that was a little bit wider than the first one, that was the diameters of the outer wall ellipse. And then I laid that out the same way, and then I just connected the glass between those 2 walls, and that created our tunnel around the outer perimeter. Now this is that's a lighting glitch in 172. If you walk around in there, that stuff will all brighten up. That's DomeCraft. That gives you an idea of what you can do. And again, you can find this on Google Play as DomeCraft. And I hope this will inspire you and enable you to create cool things in Minecraft. Thanks.